Hello, everybody. This is Lisa Perruccio, and today's Lunch and Learn is on Dotloop. And I just want to welcome everybody to the training today. You should be able to see my screen, but if not, I'm just going to share it again. There you go. And so you should be able to see my screen. And right now I'm in Dotloop right here as my training manual. So I'm just going to wait just to make sure that, make sure everybody can see me. Let's see. All right, what is going on there? Okay, everybody should be able to see me. I want to welcome Angel, Mala. I want to welcome Angel and Gina and John. Welcome to Dotloop Training. So glad to see you here. As I go along, if you want to type questions in the chat, I will go over some questions at the end. But I just want to make sure everybody can see my screen. Please let me know you can see the screen. That would be awesome. And we're just gonna start. We're gonna start right now. So this is Dotloop. This is your dashboard, but let me just start really easy by how to sign in. That's the easiest way. So I'm gonna sign out and then I'm gonna sign in. So you're just gonna go to dotloop.com. That's all you don't need this, just www.dotloop.com. You're going to use the email address that we assigned you, because the difference between this Dotloop and maybe, everybody gets a watered down version of Dotloop when they belong to the MLS PIN. The difference is this is you have to be invited into the brokerage account, because the brokerage account has all kinds of bells and whistles. So when you sign up and become a LAER agent, you get the cream of the crop for free. Stacy takes this added expense on for you. There's thousands of real estate forms in here. You can do on-demand signing. There's just so much that you could do in here. And so you have to, the caveat to that is you have to sign in with the email that we assign you. So, and then you're going to create your password. You're going to hit sign in. Now, because this is a training, I have to go to my training account. So let me just go to that. So this is how it's going to open up. And one of the biggest questions we get all the time is, I'm in Dotloop, but the Dotloop team can't see my loops. Well, if the Dotloop team who needs to approve your loops in order for you to get commission can't see your loops, that pretty much means you're not in the brokerage account. So how can you tell if you're in the brokerage account? Right here on the left-hand side, it's going to say premium. If it says that you have 10, training loops or practice loops or courtesy loops, you're not in the right one. If it asks you ever for money, you're not in the right one, because Stacy takes the expense on for the agents. She wants to give our agents the best of the best so that they can be high producing real estate agents. And so how you know that you're in the right account is right over here by Dotloop. It's going to say premium. And that's how you know. These are all my tests because this is my training Dotloop account. These are all ones that we did over the years. Over the weeks of training. So now, if you follow these 3 simple rules, I apologize. There's a car's alarm going on in the background. I have no control over that. But if you do these 3 steps, I can guarantee you an easy transaction, at least with the paperwork. I can't guarantee you an easy transaction if you're working with people. But as far as paperwork, I can if you do these 3 main things. I'm going to show you how you should start your loops. And I do repeat myself because I really do want you to get this, because if you take this training one time, you'll probably be 75% proficient in Dotloop and probably 90% more proficient than most of Dotloop users out there. So in this hour of training, you're going to learn a lot. So we've already learned how to log in. So the next step is how to make a loop. So that's step 1. Step 1 is to create a loop. And so that's very easy. These are all the loops that I've already created. So if you've ever been in real estate for any length of time, you used to go to the office, used to get a manila folder, and you used to write the address on it. Well, that's like this. This is your manila folders, okay, with the address on it. And then when you open it up, you've opened it up and now you see all the paperwork in here, okay? These are all just tests, just so you know. These are just examples. So basically that's how you, if you've been in real estate at any time and you're trying to transform from being a tech savvy, that's what this is. So this would be all your folders closed with the address on the outside or the client's name on the outside. And then you can tell by just looking at this that this is, you're representing the buyer here because it's a purchase type of a loop. And this here is a listing for sale. So it's telling you right here, it's telling you this is active and how much the listing is. So that's how you see it on the outside. So step one is to create a loop. So you just hit this big blue button. Now, the great thing about Dotloop is 90% of what you need to do is always going to be on the right hand side, and it's always going to be blue. Blue is an interactive field. You should get used to it. Anytime you see a blue field, you should click on it, get used to it. So step one is create the loop. So we're going to just add loop, and then you just follow the prompts, the property address. Now, if you're a buyer agent, you're not going to know the property address right away. So here you would just put your client's name, and then you're going to change the name of the loop to be the street address, because all loops need to be submitted by street address. And you can leave. So for this training purpose, I'm going to pretend that I am a buyer agent. So I'm going to pretend that I do not know the address yet. So I'm just going to write John and Sue. So are my clients. You have to hit, remember, 90% of what you do, you're going to hit this continue button. And here you have to select a template. Basically, you're saying Dotloop, you're telling Dotloop what are you working as? Are you working as a listing agent or are you working as a buyer agent? Now you have to pick something here, because if I try to hit this continue button, it's going to give me a warning that it will not go on. You have to pick a loop template. The reason for that is because at LAER, we want you to succeed so much that we have created all the loops that you would need, the paperwork that you would need for a listing, and the paperwork that you would need for a buyer. And if you're doing a rental, the paperwork you're going to need to be for rental. So we've done all the work for you. So you do have to pick out what kind of transaction you are representing. And if you see over here again on the right hand side, you'll see all of this. We have Massachusetts listing, Massachusetts buyer, Massachusetts rental. This is Western Mass because over in Western Mass, they use certain different forms. So we created one for them. New Hampshire listing, buyer, rental. We have Maine. There is a slide, so there's more. And we have Rhode Island and we have Connecticut. So for training purposes today, I am going to represent a buyer. I am going to be a buyer's agent. And now I can continue. And here you can upload, if you're a listing agent, you could upload a copy of the house, a photo of the house, but we're not representing that yet. We don't know it. So we're just going to hit done. And now it's creating the loop. So that was step one. Step one is create the loop. Easy, right? So right now you can see that our client is John and Susan Russo. It is a purchase. You're acting as a buyer agent. The status is, we could say it's pre-offer because we haven't put in an offer yet, and we don't know the price range. So here's a good question that everybody says: when should you create your loop? If you're a buyer agent or if you're a listing agent, the answer is the same. Okay, you should create your loop prior to meeting your client because there's paperwork that needs to be done before you can show a property. It's called the Massachusetts Mandatory Agency Disclosure of Relationship, or better known as the agency disclosure. So you're going to need that signed by your client prior to going to the first property as well. If you want a buyer's agreement, they should sign that first. So if you're a buyer agent, you should create the loop prior to going to your first listing, as well as if you're a listing agent, you need to create your loop before it goes live, because we need certain paperwork signed by the seller before any any listing can go live on the MLS. So the answer to that question is you should create your loop prior to meeting your first client, And now this is the folder closed. So we want to open it up, and you're going to see, if I view the loop, you're going to see that I have in here as a buyer folder anything that I'm going to need as a buyer agent. You're going to need this is that mandatory licensed consumer relationship, also known as the agency disclosure, which I talked about. Here's an offer form that you're going to need. Here's your exclusive buyer agreement if you want to use one. And so this is everything that we believe 90% of what you will need to have a successful closing. All of your paperwork is right here. And we've even thought further than that. If you need a different folder, maybe you need an extension. What we've done down here is we put other important documents. So there is an extension of time right here so that you can fill out. But 90% of what you need is going to be here. If not, just look down here. We did this so you don't have to search. There's literally 3,000 forms inside Dotloop, and we don't want you to go to templates and search for it. It could be very time consuming. So if you're like me and you like a very clean workspace, I would get rid of this. So you don't really get rid of it. I'm just going to shrink it. So I've just closed the folder. If I need to see what's in there, I just click it and I open the folder. So if you're like me, I just like a really clean workspace. So I'm going to just keep my buyer folder open. So step 1 was create the loop. Step 2 is add the people. Now, if you are going to show a property, you probably know your buyers' names. Obviously you do, because you've created the loop with it. So where do you add the people? And I would definitely, this is my biggest thing. If you get anything out of this hour, is when you create the loop, please do not skip step 2, which is add the people. You should really do that. It's going to make your work so much easier going down in the process of selling. So if you just scroll down, you're going to see people section right here. So automatically, the Dotloop team will be added. So we're going to add in here John Russo. Okay, we're going to add an email. And we are going to give them the role. Okay, so remember, 90% of what you do, it's blue. It's an interactive field. Do not skip this. This is very important, because we are going to, step 3 is fill out the paperwork. And you want Dotloop to know who this is. John Russo, is he an agent? Is he a seller? Is he a buyer? Is he an attorney? You have to assign them the role, and it'll make all of your paperwork very easy, because it will put the signatures wherever there is a buyer signature needed. It'll automatically do this, so you don't have to do it. So you're going to put that John Russo is the buyer. And notice you cannot put John Russo and Susan Russo together, because in order for them to sign electronically, they both have to have a separate email. So you have to put them in separately. But for this thing, I'm not going to do that. We'll get to this because when you submit a loop for review for the Dotloop team, your buyer's phone number is required, as well as where they live currently. And so we'll skip that right now. You can fill it in right now. I suggest you fill it in right now, because you probably have it. But we will show you why you should fill it in the beginning. So we're going to add this person, and you're going to see now that I have John Russo as the buyer. That's who I work for. So let's just do it again. We're going to do Susan Russo. We'll add Susan. We'll just add her. Again, make sure you give her the role. She is a buyer as well, and we're going to add her. And now they are both added here. And anytime you go to fill out paperwork, which is step 3, they will be assigned that. Now, a lot of people don't like to put the listing agent here, because they think that the listing agent would be able to see their loops. That is not correct. Okay. So I would highly recommend that you put John and Sue's attorney in there, because and during a transaction, The attorney's going to need a commission statement. The attorney's going to need a signed purchase and sale. The attorney's going to need a signed addendum. And so it just makes everything so easy if you have everything in one place. So I would definitely add your attorney, and I would definitely add the listing agent. The one thing you never want to do, and I'll say it again, you never want to do, is you don't want to make anybody a team member when you're creating them, because then they will be able to see everything in your loop. So the only time you would add a team member is, let's do, I'm going to do Mary Glavy, and I'm going to put her email address here. But Mary Glavy is my transaction coordinator. So I'm going to give her a role as transaction coordinator, which is in here. Now, your transaction coordinator, you're going to want them to see everything in your loop. So that's when you add this. Sorry about that. Hold on one second. So that's when you're going to want to check this off so that they can see. And that's the only time you would check it off. So if you have a transaction coordinator or you have a team and you want your team to see all your loops, that's when you check this. But never check this for anybody else, because if you do check this, it's going to give you a warning. Here's the warning. This cannot be undone for this loop. The team members share everything in the loop, documents, people, and tasks. So it gives you a warning, okay? But since we know that Mary Glavy is going to be our transaction coordinator, I'm going to add her as the transaction coordinator. And if you go down to the people section, now you will see her as the transaction coordinator, okay? So that is step 2. So step 1 was create the loop. When do you create the loop? Right in the beginning. If you're a buyer or if you're a seller, you create the loop. Step 2 was you add the people, add all the people. You don't make anybody on the team unless it's a team, a transaction coordinator, or you have a team. Step 3 is to fill out the paperwork and send it to your client. And so we're going to do step 3. So this is our buyer, and we need to send this before we show them any property. You're going to need this. So if you just, now I want you to see over here, because in the state of Massachusetts, this form is required document. So when you want to get paid and you submit for review, if this is not filled in, it's going not to let you submit your loop for review. So in red, it's all the things that are required, and an offer is required in the state of Massachusetts as well. So it's gonna, now you're gonna see this change once we fill out from required to not submitted. Means you filled it in, but you haven't submitted to the Dotloop team so that they can approve it. So we're gonna click on this because we need our agent, and here it's saying, hey, Dotloop is saying, look, I noticed you have 2 buyers, and do you want me to make your life easier and autofill this? And we're gonna say, yes, please autofill. So here is that document, and you will see that it has a signature for John to sign here and Susan to sign here. You would have had to add these, you would have gone in, add signature, assign it, but because we put their roles as the buyers, anytime they have to sign anything, it'll automatically put a place for them to sign. So notice, remember, everything in blue is an interactive field. You do have to pick who you represent because this form is both for the seller and the buyer. So in this training, we are representing the buyer. Here, over here, we check designated agency for you, because if you work for LAER, you are a designated agency always, but you have to pick that you are for here, the buyer. And now, oh, I see now it would have my signature here, but I did not give myself the role as the buyer agent. So now it's not here. So I'm just going to save this. I'm going to go back to the people section because I want to put my role. So here I am right here, and it says none. So I want to put that I am the buyer agent. So now when I go to here, buyer agent, I can sign this. Now I could just click on it, sign now, and there I am, adopt and sign, and I signed it. And you would printed name of the leasee. So you print your name and you put your license in here and you check these off. So it does have LAER. This is our LAER office. So I would type my name and put my license number here. Okay. And now what you're going to do is you're going to save this. We're not going to save and share. Well, in this instance, we could, because when you're a buyer agent, you only have one document that needs to be signed unless they sign a buyer's agreement. So when you're the list agent, you usually have to send like 3 pieces of paper. You have to send the lead paint, you have to send the exclusive right to sell and the agency disclosure. And so if you hit save and share, they're going to get 3 separate emails. So what you want to do is you just save it. And then when you go to share, you're going to check the ones that you want to share. So we're going to pretend to do this. Now, notice how this did change this from required to not submitted. So that means that you have filled it out, but you haven't submitted it to the Dotloop team, because this is one of the paperworks that we need in order to let accounting know that we can pay your commission. So we're going to go on. This an offer is required, but we're not there yet. So step 1 was create the loop. Step 2 was add the people. Step 3 was fill out the paperwork and share it, send it. So we're going to do that right now. We are going to check off. Now I want you to watch over here, because remember I said 90% of what you're going to do is blue is on the right hand side. And once you check this off, you're going to see this big share button. I'm going to want to share that. And notice how, because we put the roles of Susan and John, it puts them that they can sign. Okay. So you don't have to do anything there. Notice how it didn't send it to the transaction coordinator, because see, Dotloop is thinking for you. It doesn't have, the transaction coordinator doesn't have to be on this right now. And so you're just going to type in your message, please sign, and we will be good to start showing properties. Okay, now that's step 3. Now there's this little thing here called attach as a PDF to email. Now I would highly suggest that everybody click this, check this off, and I'm going to tell you why. Because it gives your clients 2 ways of signing the document. They can sign it electronically using the Dotloop link, or they can print the PDF, read it, hand sign it, scan it. Now, I know most people don't do that now, but you have older clients that like to read. Kids want to read everything their parents are signing. So it's a good way to forward. I would check this, because say your client were older and their kids wanted to read all the contracts, they could forward it to their kids. The kids could read it, and then they can say, okay, sign it. So it gives them 2 ways to sign. It gives them to sign electronically, or they can hard sign. Maybe they want to send it to their attorney to look at. So it's an easy way for your client to send it to the attorney as a PDF so that he can read it. He's not going to be able to change anything in it because it's a PDF. So again, it gives your clients 2 ways of signing. You can sign electronically using the Dotloop link, or you could just print it in the PDF. So I highly recommend. And then you just hit the share button, and now it is being shared. It is waiting, and it's going to say waiting on others. So you're going to know if you want to see your client has not signed this yet. And if you go into this, so when John and Susan both signs it, you're going to get an email saying John Russo has signed mandatory license agency disclosure. It'll say Susan Russo. So you'll be notified by an email, and you can come here and this will be, it'll say signed. So let me just show you what that looks like. Just going to show you over here one of my samples. Okay, that one wasn't done. Just trying to find you a sample of one so you know what it looks like. Here's one. Nope, none of these are signed. Hold on. Part signed. So this one was partly signed. Okay, so it would say signed if your client signed it. So it's just a good way of knowing what to do. So let's go back to our loop. Let's see, why is it not showing up? Let me see here. Okay, so we open it up and this would say signs, okay? So that's it. So if you do that with every transaction, those 3 steps, create the loop, add the people, add the roles with the people, fill out the paperwork, and then send it, you are now ready to show. Now, say you want to add, you're representing a buyer, so you want a pre-approval letter, okay, before you go show a property, which I highly recommend. You don't want to show anybody property they can't afford. So the mortgage officer sends it to you, and I'm going to show you how to upload it. You just hit add a document. These are 3 ways you can add a document into this loop. When the easiest way to do it right here is to browse your computer. So I'm going to my computer and we're going to pretend that this is right here. Went to downloads and this is my pre-approval letter. I just click on it and there it is. Okay, if you want to change the name of this on these, remember right-hand side, 3 dots, rename, you can write this pre-approval letter. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Okay, so that's how you do PDFs. If you're looking for a real estate form that you need, you go to templates, okay? You're going to go over here and you're going to go to Massachusetts, master file, New Hampshire master file, Connecticut. So it depends on where the property is. We'll go to Massachusetts and say I'm looking for a, I don't know, what do I need? Let's just do an extension. So we have extension of exclusive buyer agency agreement. Let's say we want to find that. You hit copy. And now it's an interactive file in here. Now templates can be signed interactively. If you do anything that's a PDF, a browser computer is always a PDF. But say I want to sign this, send this now, this buyer agreement, it's going to say, hey, I recognize, do you want to send this? And we're going to say autofill, and it's going to fill it in. And then you can sign that, and you can share that with them. So we're going to save it. So the 3 ways to add a document is by the templates, looking at the templates that we have that are that can be signed electronically. Search your computer. Another way that I really like is if you have an email. So say an agent sends you an email with an offer in it. You get a message. I sent you an email with an offer on it. And if you've worked with Dotloop at any time, if you open up that email, you're going to make 2 loops that say, you're going to make another loop that says John and Susan Russo. One's going to be your loop and one's going to be the buyer agent's loops. And it can be, I mean, the listing agent or whoever. And what can happen with that is it gets very confusing. And so the way I like to do it is don't open up if you get a thing that says offer, don't open up don't open your email and open up the attachment. The better way to do it is to go to Dotloop first, open up the loop. So let's say John and Sue are sending me something in an email. So you're going to hit this email and you're going to copy this link because every loop has its own individual email address that will drop PDFs directly into this loop without making a double loop. So you're going to copy this. You're going to go back to your email. And what I'm going to do, this is me, text offer for training. Here is the, we'll pretend this is an offer. All I'm going to do is forward that email, paste the link in there, and I'm going to send it. No, I got all these things I got to. And now you're going to show that up. This thing that says East Long Meadow is going to show up in my loop in here. If I refresh, reload, there it is. Do you see how that worked? And so now this causes you to take a PDF that's in an email, and if you just forward it, it drops it right in. This is a little bit of advanced training, but it's definitely worth it. And it did not make 2 loops. And then you can rename this. Say you're a listing agent and you're getting multiple offers. That's the way to do it, because if you're getting 4 or 5 offers on 123 Main Street and you open up the email, you're making a loop every single time that says 123 Main Street, and you're not going to know which is yours, which is the buyer agent. So if you do it this way, it puts the attachment right in your email. Okay. So I know that's a little bit of advanced for everybody, but I just wanted to let you know how to do that. And again, if you need to change the name, you could. So say you were a listing agent, you could put offer from John Smith Keller Williams. Okay. You could do that. So that's 3 ways to add a document to a loop. Now, some of you may be a listing agent and you may be a buyer agent. So what I would do there is I would add a folder in the loop. So let's go, because I don't want to confuse you. I'm going to go to one of my loops where I'm the listing agent. So here it is. I am the listing agent. Now, I already made a buyer folder here. So let me just show you how to do that. Let me go to this one. Let me see. I'm such a good trainer. All of these have that. So let's see. Let me find one here. They all have one. So let me just archive this. Okay. Okay. So say we're the listing agent, but we have buyer agents, and our buyer wants to put an offer on 123 Maple Street. So what should you do in the loop? Use the same loop, but what you want to do is you want to add a folder. Okay. So you're going to add a folder, and you're going to name this buyer folder. And then you're going to put all of your clients' information in here. So say you need an offer. You could go to templates, you can search Massachusetts, and you can write offer. There, offer to purchase. You're going to copy it in there. And there it is. So now you have a listing folder that has all your listing documents and a buyer folder that you have for all your buyer document. Keeps everything nice and clean. And it's the way to do it to make things beneficial for you. So now I want to talk about how to submit a loop for review. This is very important. I really like to go over this only because this is how you get paid. So submitting a loop for review. If you're a buyer agent or a selling agent, you need to do this. This is how LAER knows that you're having a closing and that we are getting all the paperwork that the state is requiring so that it doesn't cause a delay in you getting paid. And so we have created this really handy thing for you, this thing right here called the LAER pending file checklist. You're going to want to click this every time you are getting ready to have a closing. So when should you do this? When you're the listing agent, after you've gotten the purchase and sale sign and you've gotten that purchase and sale check, I would say, and you've passed inspections. Okay, that's the thing. If you passed inspections, that's when I would start to look to make sure you have all your paperwork. Okay, same thing as a buyer agent. When you've passed inspections, you should definitely start getting your paperwork ready to make sure we have everything. So we've created this form. If you're a buyer agent, it's telling you everything we need fully executed. If you're a buyer agent and you have an offer only signed by your buyer and it was never sent back to you, signed by the seller, it'll be returned. So you need agency disclosure, signed offer, purchase and sale with all addendums. If you have an addendum in there because you had an extension, but the seller didn't sign the extension, it'll be sent back to you by the Dotloop team because we need to be fully executed. So all addendums, as we know, become part of the purchase and sale. So all of that needs to be fully executed. Lead paint, obviously, if built prior to 1978, you're going to need that. Buyer agency contract, if you used one. If you don't use one, that's not required. But in the state of Massachusetts, in the state of New Hampshire, it is required. So, and then if you're on the list side, this is what you're going to need: agency disclosure, listing agreement, dual agency if you are one, Purchase and sale agreement with all addendums. Seller's description of property is not a required document in the state of Massachusetts unless your clients filled it out. If you have sent your clients the seller's statement of property and they filled it out, it should be attached to the listing, and it now becomes a required document in the state of Massachusetts. In the state of New Hampshire, it is a required document, and so in the state of Connecticut. We need signed offer, and we need the lead paint if built prior to 1978. So if you check all of these and you know you have it, then what I would do is now you're ready to submit to the Dotloop team. Hey, I'm having a closing. Please review my documents. So you're going to hit the submit for review. And here it is telling you, wait, let me go back. I want to go back to our one that we're the agent. So John and Sue, okay, we're the buyer agent, and we're going to hit submit for review. And it's telling you here, we cannot submit for review because additional information is required. Remember, I told you it needs the property address of the property you're buying, of the clients are buying. So this is just an information window telling you what you need. Please, I know it looks like you could start typing in here, but you're going to get down to the state here and it's not going to let you put in anything. So this is just telling you need the property address. It's telling us that we need John Russo's phone number, his street address, and Susan Russo's phone number and street address, and we need an MLS number. So where do you get that information? So what you're going to do is you're going to go right here to view details. You're going to go down here to the property address, and we are buying, let's say, street number 123. We are buying Main Street in East Long Meadow. It has to be all filled out on different lines. Here's the state, zip code. Here's the MLS number. It is required. Put an MLS number. It is required. And then you're going to hit save. You can hit submit for review. It's going to say, okay, we don't know. We need the year built. We didn't put that in. So you're going to go over here. You're going to go to property, address, year built. We're going to make this 1998. So we don't need lead paint. You're going to hit save and you're going to hit submit for review. But we still need information. This is why I say it's very important. When you're filling out that paperwork, more than likely you're going to have your client's mailing address. You're going to know their phone number, their email. And so I would put this in when you're adding people. Okay. So it's saying that we need John Russo's phone number and the street address, not the street address he's buying. We need to know the street address he's living at. So what you're going to do is you're going to go here. You're going to find your buyer right here. You're going to hit edit and you're going to fill that in. Phone number 413-525. Okay. And they live at 25. We're going to say that they live at 25 Main Street, East Long Meadow, Massachusetts, 01028. And we're going to hit save. Okay, and you're going to do the same thing for John Russo. You hit edit. We're going to put his number in here. I gave it a different number. But they live at 23 Street. We don't need the cell phone. So if they have a cell phone or a landline, it goes here. Disregard cell phone. Cell phone still goes where it just says phone. And we're going to hit save. And now we are going to hit submit. And look at that. It's asking us, you're ready. It's telling us which folders do you want to submit. Remember, we had the buyer folder and then we had the other important documents folder. If you were a listing agent, you would have a listing folder, buyer folder, and this. So we're going to say we're just representing the buyer here. And we want to submit the buyer folder for a buyer review. And now there's an open document. There is no offer. See, it said there's no offer. So it's not going to submit that. And so what you could do with that is say we have an offer. I want to pretend that this is the offer. Now see how this is required. You say you have an offer that's a PDF, just drag your PDF over the required document. It's going to say you're about to replace it. Say yes. And now you're going to submit for review. And there you go. And now Notice how these have changed from not submitted to submitted, okay? So I just want to go over that real clear again. If you've uploaded a PDF that was signed by your buyers, you didn't sign the offer electronically. You signed it, on site, or you went to their house and you upload it as a PDF. Just take your PDF of the offer and drag it over to the required field that says offer. It's going to say you're about to replace. You say yes. And that meets the requirement for you to submit for review. So remember, submit for review should be done after inspections, after you have the signed purchase and sale and the checks. Why should you do it that early, 3 weeks before closing? Because what it does is it alerts our accounting and the Dotloop team, hey, start reviewing stuff, because you don't want it to have closed. You've waited a week for us to even get the check from the listing agent. And you don't want the Dotloop team to say, hey, the lead paint is filled out wrong. Send this back to the listing agent, have them correct it. Most listing agents don't want to cooperate with you after a deal has been closed. And so you're not going to get paid. So you don't want that. You want to get paid. So this is why it's so vital to submit for review, use your pending checklist, and submit for review prior to your closing. So if something is not signed, we're going to get it signed. Okay. So let me see if we have any questions. I don't see anything in the questions, so that's great. So we've gone over how to make a loop, how to add people, signs, how to submit for review. So what I want to do, another thing I want to really emphasize that's very important is this filter button here. So right now I have my filters off. So it's going to show every single loop I have ever made in here. And it just goes on and on. You're going to see sold. You're going to see under agreement. You're going to see sold. You're going to see none. You're going to see archived. You're going to see all this stuff. And it just goes on and on. And again, if you're like me, I like to only see what I need to see. So you can filter your dashboard so that you can only see things you want to see. So you hit the filter button. And I, as an agent, really only want to see my active listings and my under agreement at this present time. So I'm going to hit those and I'm going to hit apply. And now you'll see it's only going to show me active and under agreement. And if I scroll down, that's it. That's all it's going to show me. Okay. It's not going to go on forever. And this is what you want. So maybe at the end of the year, you want to see what you sold. You're going to unclick this and you're going to hit just your solds and you're going to put apply. And now you're going to see that it's only going to show me my solds. Okay. Maybe you want to see which ones fell apart, or maybe the buyers didn't like this seller's market and it was too competitive for them. And so now you're going to want to go in and you're going to want to click archive any loop that you have archived. Okay. You want to see only archive. Okay. And then you apply that. Now it's going to show me anything that was archived. These are deals that fell apart. See how they say archived? So you never want to make a listing that went from start to finish and you sold. You never want to archive it. That's once it's sold, it stays sold. And there's a reason for that. If it has fallen apart, you want to put it archived because maybe you want to see if this buyer wants to now try, the market isn't as competitive, and it's a good reason to call them. So another reason why you want your solds to be sold and why you always want to fill in the status here of the sale price, because a lot of people don't know this, but I love this feature. We're going to see everything. That if you hit this reporting, it's going to report everything. Okay, this isn't working. Let me take a look why. Go back to my loops. Hide archive only. Oh, we want to see all. Apply all. Okay. Now we're going to hit reporting. All right. Why is this working like that? Oh, I know why. I know why. I'm sorry. If I hit reporting because it's a new year and I have nothing done. But if you do this right, and you go to your loops and you are filling out this information that this had sold, and it sold for 350,000 or 375,000. Okay. If you're filling all this in every single time your deals have completed, when you go to hit reporting, it's going to show up here. Let me show you. I'll change this. I'm going to show you this one. We're going to say that this sold. I'm going to change this to the sold date, closing date. We'll say that it closed on the 5th. Okay. Now, if I go to reporting, see how it showed that? And it showed that in January, I have sold 375,000. Excuse me. And so if you had more, and so this tool right here called reporting is a really good spotlight of how you're doing in business. It's going to show you in yellow all of your under agreements. It's going to show you in red all things that fell through. So you're going to see when your business slumped, when it spiked. So then you can say, okay, what did I do when it spiked? Oh yeah, I did the Buffini letters. I sent out letters. So I sent out letters January, February, and March. So my April and May was huge in the spring market, and you're going to be able to see this. So I really like to use this reporting feature, but it's only as good as if you fill in the status and the sale price and the day it closed. So if you open up a loop, it's going to be right here. Okay, always fill in the status, under agreement. It's then going to ask you when it's closing, when it's sold for. Fill this in. If you fill this in, it'll show up on reporting. So that is very important. I wanted to show that. Now, one more other thing, we're getting ready to wind down. It is 1:21. So there's a couple of ways on the dashboard that you can filter or have an arrangement here. So this here is filtering all of my loops by the creation date. So this one is showing first because I just created this today. But you have options. You can do it by last updated. Okay, I updated this one. You can do it by closing date. You can do it by expiration date. You can do it by submit for review. So I like to do creation date. That's the way I like it. And then also you can do, this is grid viewed, which I like because again, I think it's very clean. Notice here how I uploaded a picture of the house. I like doing that. When you're a listing agent under step 3, when you're making the loop, it says add a photo. Very easy to do. Just follow the prompts. Very, very easy to do. I like adding the photo. But say you don't like this view and you want a list view. That's that, like that. And then we have compact view. But again, I prefer the grid view. I like this view better. Everything is right there. So I like to go over that. And so these here are your universal templates. So that's your reporting tool that's telling you what you've done so far. These are all your loops. These are tasks that you can assign yourself to do. You know, you can say, hey, I need to call for a smoke inspection. You can do that there. This is all your people. So I like this feature because contacts, these are all my contacts. A lot of these are agents. Some of these are attorneys. So anytime you add anybody in here, you can put who they are. If they are, maybe they're a home improvement person. But if you have an attorney that you use all the time, you want to put them in here. So when you start to type their name, it'll automatically show up. You don't have to retype it. My name is hard to spell. And so it makes it easier for those agents that have really hard names to pronounce. So here you can add a contact as say, you know, a bunch of home improvement people that you may want to share this information with your clients, or moving people, or home inspection people. So you can share this. If you fill this in as a home inspector, you could actually share this with your client in Dotloop. So I like to show that your people section. This is your templates. Remember, you go to master file to find something, you type it in. Just also, so you know, if you knew the MAR number, like a 705, you could put the MAR number in and it will show the MAR number. You can type it in. Let's see. Let's do a release of deposit. There it is, release of deposit. Okay. So you can do it by name. The only thing with that is you have to name it. Well, we named it in there, so that's a little harder. So that's why we also made you the templates. But again, you have all of New Hampshire forms are here, Connecticut forms, Rhode Island, and Maine. And then this here is your, account, and you want to go to my account. You should do this, and you want to put this information in, because if you put this information in, it'll show up on all of your paperwork. So notice how I put this in and it showed up that the LAER's office number for Massachusetts is 8890. We get a lot of calls. A lot of people don't know this, and it is on the offer. You need this on the offer. And here's the agent license number. If you fill that in and save it, it'll automatically show up on all of your paperwork. You won't have to take the time to do that. So I would definitely fill in my account, and this is how you sign out and sign in. And that's pretty much it. It's 1:25. I'll take any questions. If anybody has any questions at this time, please submit them now. We have 5 minutes left. I'd love to. I know I talk fast, so as I'm waiting for any questions, just want to let you know that this is recorded. All of our Lunch and Learns are recorded, and you can find them at, if you go to facebook.com/real online agent resources. Okay, let me say that again, facebook.com/real online agent resources. You will find this training and all trainings. Stacy has been doing trainings, Sergio does trainings, Len does trainings. And so what I would suggest is I would have your Dotloop open. And as you're listening to the training, I would pause the training and then you can go in and do it step by step so you learn it. So I don't see any questions. I don't see anybody having any questions. So I just want to thank Angel and Gina for participating, and I thank you. And if you have any Dotloop questions whatsoever, please send any questions to happyagent@laerrealty.com. They will forward them to me, and I will answer them for you. Gina, I'm so glad you joined. Thank you very much. I hope this helped you. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.